Virtual machines have many utilities, such as helping you test some software on virtual machines. To test and then install on a real machine, or put virtual machines to create learning labs and many other utilities. Today I'm going to show you how to install a Windows 10 virtual machine on VMware. First, in order to be able to install a virtual machine on VMware software, you need to install the software on your computer. If you don't know how to install the VMware software, you can watch the video tutorial to link to the description of the video. Next, you need to have a Windows 10 ISO file, so when you install Windows 10 on a virtual machine, you get the installation. If you already have an ISO file, you don't need to download it anymore, and if you do not have it, you can refer to how to download Windows 10. I have also made instructions in the video below the description of the video. Here's how to create a virtual machine. You open the VMware software, and to create a virtual machine, you select the file and select the new virtual machine. In this window, there are two options, to recommend the features of the software and to customize the settings. You should choose to customize settings because you can customize the appropriate virtual machine settings to run on a real computer configuration, and then choose Next. This window is the default. Select Next. Next, there are ways to add the Windows 10 installation ISO file. You select the third item, which will be added later, then select Next. Here, there are options such as Microsoft Linux. You install Windows 10 should be Microsoft Windows by default. Version you can change like Win 10x64, Win 10x32, or Win 8, Win 7. Then choose Next. When you name a virtual machine, you can name it in the virtual machine name box or by default. Then select where the virtual machine is stored. If you leave it by default, it will be saved to your computer's C drive. To save to another drive, you select Browse, then select the drive you want to save. You can create each stored folder for the virtual machines. Once you have selected a place to save, continue to select Next. This is the option of boot type for the virtual machine. If the computer is older, then select BIOS. And the new system computers usually support the UEFI boot style, depending on the configuration of the machine to choose the boot type for the virtual machine. I'll leave the default and choose Next. Go to the flow multiplier settings for virtual computers. You can leave the default or change it, but it should be smaller than the real computer flow multiplier. I'm going to leave the virtual machine 2 core and 2 foam. Continue to select Next. Set the RAM for the virtual machine. Here it will give you the levels at which you can set the RAM for the virtual machine. The lowest is 2 GB, and the highest is 27.3 GB. Because when a virtual machine runs, it runs on real RAM, so it's going to consume the real computer's RAM resources. You need to make a reasonable choice so that the real machine, when running the virtual machine, will not be lagging. You should choose a virtual machine according to the recommendation of the software or below the maximum recommended level. You can drag this bar to change it or enter it into the memory for the virtual machine box. As with this Windows 10 x64, we're choosing 4 GB. Then choose Next. You leave the network part of the virtual machine the default and choose Next. Next to the I/O connection type, you leave the default to select Next. There are 4 types of drives, which you choose but should follow the recommendations, and then choose Next. Select the drive for the virtual machine, then leave the default to create a new virtual disk. Select Next. Next, select the space for the virtual drive. You can change the input to or to the default, hold N when to default, and then select Next. Continue to select Next, then select Finish to complete the virtual machine creation. After creating a virtual machine, the parameters of the virtual machine will be displayed, and you can re-edit the parameter settings by choosing Edit Virtual Machine Settings. Also in this section, you need to add ISO files in order to install Windows on virtual machines. To add an ISO file, select CD/DVD and then use the ISO image file. Click Browse to go to the ISO file archive and select that ISO file. Then select OK. On it are the settings for virtual machines. To start installing the virtual machines, you choose in the power on this virtual machine. When you enter, you press any key to run. You can also press the shortcut Ctrl plus Alt or C Ctrl plus G to control the mouse on the virtual machine. If you wait to enter the setup, if you wait for the load to not enter the settings, you click on the shutdown icon on the software toolbar, then select Reset again, and a message will appear that you have chosen Reset. If you don't do that a few times, you'll go to the Windows setup. Now you're installing it as normal as you install Windows on your real computer. You choose Next by default, choose Install to install. Then select I don't have a product key, select the version of Windows you want to install, and then select Next. Click I accept and select Next, select Custom Install Windows only. Let the default drive be selected next. The virtual machine will proceed with the installation. When you enter the settings, you can leave the default or select your region and select Yes, similar to the language. The keyboard you choose, skip, wait for the setup. This option is set up for personal use, select Next. In account, you choose Offline account, then select Limited Experience, then name the virtual machine, set a password or not, and then choose Accept or Skip Settings. I am waiting for the setup machine to complete the creation of the virtual machine. You can operate on a virtual machine like you do on a real machine. To turn the virtual machine off, you choose a shutdown like a real machine. When you install the virtual machines, they will be displayed in the My Computer section of the software. On top of that is how to install a Windows 10 virtual machine. You can create many different virtual machines, but you need to pay attention to the hardware of the real machine in order to be able to use the computer well. So I've taught you how to install a virtual machine on your computer. If you see or like it, share and subscribe to the channel to watch more videos. Hello, and see you again.